What have I learned through my family about blackness or about my blackness? My grandparents are Ruby Mae Fulton Jordan and Vernon Jordan Sr., a Leo and Gemini couple. And yeah, I think one of the first things that I definitely remember is just a love for music and language. You know, my grandfather was a musician, and I didn't know that or like really understand it until I was older. He had this box drum, and but you play it kind of like a xylophone, and you just kind of play it down the box. Those were like my first musical memories, and every time I went over his house, the box drum was there, and he would just take it out for me. Whenever I was over there, I felt, you know, kind of at peace.
I've been writing poetry since I was in 5th grade. It's always been a way for me to let my feelings out. All of my family members have been like writing forever. With my mother and father coming from Jamaica, they would write letters back home. Writing was just really a great way to tell your story and say like, oh, what's going on down here while you're in America, so that her mother could know what she was doing and making sure that she's okay. My identity is like really broad because sometimes I just don't even notice that like my Jamaican culture is just like so infused with my like Black American identity.
I grew up in Chester, Pennsylvania, which is about 25 minutes outside the city. My mom passed away when I was 12 years old. My father passed away when I was between 10th and 11th grade. As I got older and I realized like how his whole network of people were around me. He was someone who would be in different neighborhood bars a lot, right? So by the time I got old enough to like go to these places, they would be like, oh, you Charlie Rogers' son, right? And it was this way of just like relating with people. Charlie Rogers, Charles Rogers, Charlie Rogers, you know, talk about Black names.
My grandmother, she's wonderful. She always would talk about how to carry yourself in a way that you pretty much command respect. Always entering a room like you know you belong there. Keep your head up, stand up tall. You know, I was always tall, so it was just sort of like, know that you're tall. A lot of times I was the only Black person in the room. What would my grandmother do? She would just walk in as if none of that mattered. Her name was Corinne, and to know her was you needed to know how to spell her name.
So I have 3 siblings, 3 of us, Charles, Chelsea, and myself. We sort of stuck out our childhood in Sun Hill, and we're figuring out how to like manage a home. We're all holding part-time jobs at this time, but also it was supported by so many different people. Anybody in the community who was hungry knew they could go to Aunt Brenda's house and get a meal. When your mother and father is gone, that's when the village is to step up. You figure out how to make community in a way that saves your life.
These days I spend my time sharing the art form of Capoeira Angola, which is African Brazilian martial art. Almost 26 years of training Capoeira. I was lucky to find Capoeira very shortly after, you know, my father had, you know, transitioned. You know, it'd be an understatement for me to say I sing for my ancestors, you know, when Capoeira is concerned. You know, so my father had not had the ability to see me while he was here in this way. I know he connects with me. When I think about Blackness, it's freedom. It's freedom to share. It's freedom to connect. This is this universal concept. Again, for me, Blackness is universal.
What my Black inheritance taught me is, right, that the way that we go about our lives is a daily practice of making family and making community and making villages.
You see him wearing the shirt of flowers, right? Like it's like a garden. We're always in the garden because we're alive and we're here as Black people. But you have to come to it and care for it and protect it and water it and love it.